Imagine paying every bill in a house, only to be told you don't belong in it anymore. Imagine being evicted from your own family. Sounds insane, right? Well, that's exactly what happened to me. Before we go any further, make sure you subscribe to this channel, because the story you're about to hear might change the way you look at family forever. My name is Alex Parker, and until last Christmas, I believed home was the one place that could never turn its back on me. I was wrong. The dining room looked perfect. Almost too perfect. The Christmas lights blinked like they were pretending everything was normal. Cinnamon candles burned on the counter. The turkey I paid for sat in the middle of the table, still steaming. My aunt laughed at something. My sister scrolled on her phone, pretending she wasn't avoiding eye contact. And then my mother, without even lifting her head, said it. "You need to move out." 4 words dropped like a knife into the middle of Christmas dinner. My aunt stopped chewing, her fork frozen in midair. My sister stared at her plate like she wished she could disappear into it. And me, I just sat there, feeling something break inside me so quietly, it almost made no sound at all. The room smelled like pine and cinnamon, but all I could taste was betrayal. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't ask why. I just looked at my mother, the same woman I had spent a year rescuing, and realized something I never wanted to believe. I wasn't a daughter anymore. I was an employee, a wallet, a tool. And now that the tool had served its purpose, it was being thrown away. Before I tell you the rest, tell me where you're listening from, so I know I'm not the only one who's been betrayed by their own family. But my life didn't always look like a battlefield disguised as a Christmas table. Just 1 year earlier, everything was different. I lived in a small downtown apartment, my first real space of my own. Sunlight poured through the windows each morning. My plants sat on the sill like tiny trophies of independence. The place smelled like fresh coffee and freedom. I paid every bill with my IT work. Piece by piece, I was building a life that felt stable. Mine. And then, the phone rang. Not a light-hearted call. Not a "how are you?" A broken voice. Uneven breathing. Words falling apart. My mother told me the house I grew up in was weeks away from being lost. Mortgage late. Utilities overdue. Savings gone. That house wasn't perfect, but it held the last pieces of my father. His handwriting still marked the doorway where he measured our heights. His jacket still hung in the back closet, carrying a fading trace of his cologne. The thought of losing that place felt like losing him all over again, so I moved back. My mother cried with relief. She hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. She called me her lifeline, her hero. And I believed her. I broke my lease, packed up my apartment in one exhausted weekend, and told myself it was temporary. Just until she got back on her feet. My sister thanked me. My aunt admired me. Everyone acted like I was saving the family. But gratitude slowly turned into expectation. Then expectation turned into obligation. And obligation turned into ownership. Not theirs. Mine. I wasn't helping anymore. I was responsible for everything. And that was only the beginning. When I first moved back home, I told myself it was temporary. A few months. Maybe less. Just enough time for my mother to find her footing. For things to settle. For us to feel like a family again. But time has a funny way of slipping through your fingers. Especially when you're carrying everyone else on your back. At first, it felt good to help. I paid the mortgage. then the electricity, then the groceries. It was manageable. I still had hope back then. But hope has a way of dimming. When every time you light a candle, someone else blows it out. The first red flag arrived quietly, almost invisible. One night, while I was working late on an IT emergency, my mother walked down the hallway, her voice sharp enough to cut drywall. Ever since you moved in with all your gadgets, this house runs slower than molasses. I can't even watch my shows. Her shows. The one streamed on the upgraded internet plan I paid for. I stared at her, confused, because I thought we were a team. But that night, I realized something. To her, I wasn't helping. That I was in the way. Then came the dishwasher. I'd get home after 10-hour shifts, exhausted, clothes smelling like stale office air, only to see the clean light blinking. My mother leaning against the counter, scrolling her phone like royalty. Oh good. You're back. You can unload it. My back's acting up today. Her back, which somehow never acted up when she spent hours shopping with friends. My sister would whisper the same tired line every time I tried to talk about it. She's just stressed. Be patient. Patient. That word became a leash, wrapped around my throat. Every time I tried to loosen it, someone pulled tighter. By early December, the house no longer felt like home. It felt like I was a tenant in someone else's emotional mortgage. The walls seemed closer, the air heavier. Every sigh, every slammed cupboard, every complaint landed like a weight on my chest. The evenings blurred together. I'd fix the internet, take out the trash, buy groceries, pay bills, and then sit in silence, wondering when helping turned into serving. I didn't realize it back then, but I was sinking. Not quickly, not dramatically, just low enough that no one noticed. That's the cruelest kind of drowning, the silent kind. And yet, I still believed Christmas might fix things. I convinced myself that a holiday dinner, a table full of food I paid for, might remind us of who we were before resentment crept in like mold under wallpaper. I bought the best ingredients, roasted the turkey, baked casseroles, wrapped gifts I couldn't really afford. I wasn't celebrating Christmas. I was begging for peace, begging for recognition, begging to matter. The night before Christmas Eve, I stood in the kitchen alone, staring at the oven timer, wondering how I became the engine that kept a house running while everyone else sat in first class. My mother breezed in, wearing a new coat I'd never seen before. Is dinner almost done? She asked. No thank you. No offer to help, just expectation. And I remember thinking, if this is what family feels like, why am I fighting so hard to stay in it? Christmas Eve came. The lights glowing, the tree sparkling, everything looking so beautiful it felt like my aunt walked in smiling, unaware of the storm beneath the tablecloth. My sister sat down quietly, eyes glued to her phone, and my mother, well, she looked calm, too calm, like someone who had already made a decision. And when she finally spoke, she didn't look at me. You need to move out. Just like that. No reason. No warning. No guilt. Like I was a tenant whose lease expired. But in reality, the lease didn't expire. Her use for me did. That was the moment something inside me turned cold. Not angry. Not sad. Just stunned. It's terrifying how quickly love can freeze. One sentence. And suddenly the person you do anything for becomes a stranger. I excused myself from the table, quietly, Because silence sometimes screams louder than words. I in my childhood bedroom, surrounded by floral wallpaper I always hated. I sat on the bed and waited for tears. None came. Not one. My emotions weren't gone. They were emptied. Like someone had wrung me dry. And sitting there, in that stale room, I realized something that should have hurt more than it did. I was never part of a family. I was part of a system. A system that ran on me. And now, it wanted a new power source. That was the night I made my decision. Not out of anger, but clarity. For the first time in my life, I was about to choose myself. But destiny doesn't knock twice. And when it knocks, it never asks if you're ready. The next morning, the factory felt different. The old machines were still loud. The same metallic smell lingered in the air. Yet something inside Aaron had shifted forever. He stood at his workstation, staring at the conveyor belt. But his mind wasn't here. His heart was somewhere else, running behind a dream he never dared to imagine. Lucas noticed him from the other side and walked over slowly. Lucas' soft tone. "Hey man, you seem lost. Everything okay?" Aaron let out a shaky breath. "A lot changed last night. I talked to my son. And for the first time, I saw a spark in his eyes. Something I never gave him." Lucas smiled. That kind of smile only a father understands. "Lucas, that's the spark of purpose. Once a kid gets that, there's no stopping him." Suddenly, a loud horn echoed. Everyone froze. A supervisor climbed on a crate, holding papers. "Supervisor, listen up. The company is cutting overtime this week. Hours reduced." A wave of worry spread. Whispers. Sighs. Frustration. But something strange happened. Aaron didn't panic this time. Instead, he whispered to himself, "Maybe this is not a loss. Maybe it's a sign." His fear was turning into direction. Lucas and Aaron sat under a half-broken metal shed, eating sandwiches wrapped in foil. "Aaron, Lucas, tell me honestly, what if I try to change things for my son? What if I help him find a better place? A better academy? Something that can shape him?" Lucas looked at him intensely. "Lucas, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you want your kid to believe in himself, you must believe first." Aaron swallowed hard. Those words hit him like truth he had ignored for years. He stared at the ground, his hands shaking slightly. Aaron's voice cracking. "I don't want my son to be like me. Tired. Stuck. Blaming the world." Lucas placed a hand on his shoulder. "Lucas, then break the cycle. Right here. Right now." Those words weren't just advice. They were a challenge. A wake-up call. A push into destiny. That evening, Aaron reached home early. Something unusual. His son opened the door. Surprised. "Son, Dad, you're back so soon." Aaron knelt down, looked him in the eyes. "Aaron, listen. I know I've been absent. I know I haven't given you what you deserve. But things are changing. And this time, I'm not going to let you walk alone." Tears formed in the boy's eyes. Tiny. Genuine. Full of hope. For the first time, father and son weren't just living together. They were starting a journey together. Not perfect. Not easy. But real. But just when life began to stabilize, something happened. Something neither father nor son could have imagined. A moment that would test everything. Their promise, their courage, their bond. And this changes everything. Every story has a turning point. A moment where dreams are either broken or born. This is that moment. A week passed. Aaron was no longer the same man who dragged himself through life. He was waking up early, talking to his son, sharing ideas, dreaming again. But life doesn't like quiet victories. It always tests the ones who dare to rise. One evening, while Aaron was tightening a loose bolt in the factory, his phone buzzed. A message from his son. Just one line. "Dad, look at this." Attached was a photo. A letter. Stamped with an official seal. Aaron's heartbeat quickened. His hands trembled. He wiped the grease from his fingers and zoomed in. The letter read, "Congratulations. You have been accepted into the academy." Aaron froze. His breath stopped. His knees almost gave in. He whispered, "My boy. He did it." Tears didn't ask for permission. They just fell. Lucas saw him crying and rushed over. "Lucas, hey, hey, what happened?" Aaron handed him the phone. Unable to speak, Lucas read it, looked up, smiled so wide it felt like the whole factory brightened. He hugged Aaron tightly. "Lucas, you see, dreams don't need perfect people. They just need people who don't quit." The other workers gathered, clapped, smiled. For the first time, Aaron wasn't invisible. He was proof that ordinary fathers could create extraordinary futures. At home, Aaron sat with his son, packing notebooks, clothes, a cheap pen he bought with pride. "Aaron, listen. I can't give you everything, but I can give you one thing. A path. Walk it with courage, and never look back." His son hugged him tightly. "Son, Dad, I won't let your effort go to waste." Aaron closed his eyes. Those words healed wounds he carried for years. The bus arrived. Doors opened with a hiss. Aaron stood still, watching his son step in. Each step felt like history being written. The bus started moving. Aaron raised his hand. Eyes wet. Heart full. His son looked out of the window, smiled, waved, and whispered, "Thank you, Dad." Aaron's soul heard it louder than any sound in this world. The final message of life doesn't give second chances often. But when it does, grab it. Hold it. Fight for it. Aaron didn't change the world. He changed one life. And sometimes, that's enough to start a revolution. If you're a parent, a dreamer, or someone stuck in life, remember this. You are one decision away from a different future. So, subscribe. Stay with us. More stories like this are on the way. Stories that remind you that hope is always one step away.